So to be clear, the very best thing you can do before buying a used Viper is to have it seen by a Viper-trained tech in a dealer setting before you buy. But in addition to that, let me show you 3 tips that I think Viper-curious shoppers considering a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th generation vintage machine like this one should be on the lookout for.
Door hinges. I've found the door hinges in both of my Vipers to be pretty fussy, and I'm not alone. In my 2000 GTS, the doors seemed to sag over time and with repeated use. Eventually, the driver's door hinge needed to be readjusted multiple times to prevent the door from striking the body when closing. An out-of-alignment door hinge also caused damage to the weather seals around the door, resulting in a small water leak. So the hinge can be loosened, adjusted, and fastened back into place, but the process can be frustrating and somewhat complicated if, like me, you're not the most mechanically inclined. Professional help may be the best course of action if the Viper you're considering seems to be suffering from saggy doors. It's not a difficult job for someone who knows what they're doing. My 2008 SRT-10 is exhibiting similar symptoms this year. The driver's door has begun emitting a loud creak when opening fully or closing, though lubrication to the hinge hasn't helped. The door is rubbing somewhere and the hinge needs to be readjusted. Letting this issue go unchecked can cause collateral damage to the weather seals, which are pricey, as well as the window glass panels and power window hardware, which are even pricier. So you'll want to address it as soon as possible if you notice any warning signs. These include doors that seem to stick during some portion of their movement, doors that don't close properly with a light push, doors that fail to properly engage their striker or even bounce back open, doors that require slamming to latch shut, or any used Viper whose door-mounted weather seals are cracked, ripped, or otherwise visibly damaged or chewed up. In summary, you want to be sure the doors open, close, and latch without undue force or noise, and that all weather seals are intact and in solid shape. To prevent undue wrenching of the door hinges at engine startup, I always start the engine after the doors are closed. Firing up the Viper's big V10 twists the car back and forth, it's all that torque, but can also wrench on the heavy doors and their small hinges, which seems to eventually be able to shift things out of place. With the doors closed, you eliminate the excessive wrenching on the hinges when firing up that big old 8.4-liter V10. Remember, these are heavy doors, and you don't want them bouncing up and down and wrenching on that hinge. Here's a fun fact for you. During a tour of the Dodge Viper factory some years ago, one longtime craftsman told me that the original hinge design was intended to be steel, which is stronger, though ultimately the engineers decided on a lighter but softer aluminum hinge instead. In the day, he figured this might cause problems for some owners, and it turns out he was right. He told me the 5th generation cars use a different hinge and that the doors are much lighter, meaning that these problems are not something that 5th gen Viper owners look like they need to worry about. Alignment. I think the Dodge Viper has a somewhat unfounded reputation for dodgy handling and being difficult to control, and in a lot of cases, I think these problems are mainly driver-related, not car-related, but that's a topic for a different video. Of course, the Viper's steamroller tires do try to follow every nook, cranny, and tar strip in the road, which means the car often seems to be squirming and shuffling beneath you, even as you drive along in a straight line. Still, don't underestimate the difference a proper alignment can make. I recently had one performed in a dealer setting on my 2008 for the first time, and the difference in handling, stability, and response while steering and braking were notable, especially in terms of reduced workload at the wheel. So if your secondhand Viper feels less precise than you'd like, you might just assume that that's how Vipers handle, though a fresh alignment instantly made my 2008 feel more precise, more responsive, and less labor-intensive to drive on the highway. In this particular case, the difference was night and day, and as an added bonus, a proper alignment means the very pricey tires will also wear out more slowly too. Power windows. I've found the power windows on both of my Vipers to feel finicky and fussy. Compared to most cars, they feel and sound harsher when in use, and they've also been the cause of various headaches, especially in my 2008. Like a lot of cars, the Viper has a feature called window indexing, which is a fancy way of saying that the window drops a ½ inch or so when the door handle is pressed. This allows it to clear the body of the car, and allows the door to open and close more easily and seal better. The indexing function on the passenger side power window failed one day, and without lowering the glass, it contacts the upper corner of the door opening, where it wears down the finish, and can also wrench on the window panel too. Closing the passenger door similarly results in contact of the window in the same spot, and undue force being applied to the window panel. The point is, if this function fails, the window glass may contact the car's body slightly or even more. This can result in damage to the vehicle's paint, a noisier drive, and increased likelihood of damaging the Viper's finicky and sometimes fragile power window hardware because of an unintended impact. One, both, or neither of the power windows may be suffering from this problem in the car you're considering, and the problem might be sporadic in nature. I can't offer a fix that's worked reliably for me, though disconnecting and reconnecting the battery does typically fix the issue for a time. On your test drive, confirm that both power windows work as expected, and be sure to carefully inspect the outer edge of the door opening just above the window itself for signs of marking, paint damage, or scuffing that indicate contact. Final thought for you? These issues are worth being aware of, but not afraid of. Don't let them scare you off. In my experience, they've been relatively minor inconveniences in exchange for one of the most instantly recognizable, storied, and celebrated sports car driving experiences on the road. In its day, there was virtually nothing like the Dodge Viper, and chances are, there never will be again. I'm Justin Pritchard. If you liked this video, we've got plenty more like it, so consider hitting the subscribe button down below so you never miss a new upload, leaving a like if you learned something new, and until next time, take care and drive safe.